Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. If you're one of my regular viewers, you know what's going on. If you're not one of my regular viewers, I decided I'm going to do a bunch of stuff that's out of my normal zone of comfort. A lot of digitally generated music, and I am going to start with Christina Aguilera's, I think, first album, self-titled. 1999 release. This is the beginning of what I like to call the Pop-Tart era. This is when, Christina broke out, Britney broke out, Jessica was in there, Ashley at some point came out around there. Spice Girls were already out. And I'm sorry to use a term like Pop-Tart, but they did pop music and they dressed in what at the time would have been considered kind of tartish. I mean, this is definitely one of the more conservative of the dresses. Late 90s, gotta love the hip hugging low rises and the midriff showing. And it's funny because I've been watching classic Melrose Place, rewatching it with Tracy, and seeing a lot of this fashion again, and makes me nostalgic for the fashion of that time period. But that's about it. All right. So this album basically can be broken into two halves. You've got the front half of the album, the back half of the album. Front half of the album, I recognized most of the tracks. Back half of the album, I had to actually kind of pay attention. So the album opens up with Genie in a Bottle. Do you remember this video? I remember this video. Do you remember this single? I remember this single. Oh my God, you couldn't go anywhere without this single. I hated when this song came out. It was like once every 30 minutes on the half hour it played. Oh my God, it was horrible. And if it wasn't for Genie in a Bottle, then it was What a Girl Wants. Still not a fan of this. Okay. Now, to be completely fair, Genie in a Bottle, if it had been done by a grown woman, actually a lot of these songs, if they had been done by a grown woman as opposed to a young, I don't even think she was 18 yet, pop star, I'm not sure on that one, might not be as creeped out by them as I am listening to them. Realistically, Madonna's the one I blame for a lot of this reckless sexual irresponsibility with younger girls in the pop industry, which is why it's going to be a while before I do any Madonna. I really have issues with Madonna, especially the fact that she now looks like Mechanical Animals Marilyn Manson. Eesh. Oof. Okay, back to this. Okay. So, Genie in a Bottle and even What a Girl Wants, I think if they were actually redone, Christina, by all means, should redo them. Use a live band, give it a little more sultry, jazzy kind of vibe to it. Be cherry. Another thing I want to say as I'm going through here, Christina Aguilera, her voice, one, way too grown up of a voice for her on here. Which is cool. Awesome. The woman's got a spectacular voice. It's really interesting because of how, I want to say, R&B like this album is. And she really does have a black woman's voice. And considering, she's a white Latino girl, or Latinx, I guess is the Latinx, whatever the way you want to say it. First two songs, they set you up. They let you know where you're going. And then by the third song, we have to hit the ballad. So we get to I Turn to You. Now, I recognize this song. I don't know if I recognize it from Christina doing it or if I recognize it because it's, I think, was it Dionne Warwick, I think, was the one that had the writing credits for that one. Yeah, they're too small in here for me to read. Oh my God. This is bad designing there, man. This really tiny light font. Normally I'd pull it up on my computer and just take a look, but my computer's doing something else right now. So I Turn to You, slow song. So now you've got Genie in a Bottle, which is kind of, mid-ground. What a Girl Wants, which has got a little bit of energy to it. I Turn to You, which slows it right down. Then you get to So Emotional, and this one, I'm going to be honest, when the album was playing, I didn't mind it. It worked really nice in the flow. Not a standout song to me. Then we go to Come On Over, which picks it back up again. Come On Over, this one's kind of reflective of a direction she'd go in a little bit later on, I think. Her post Dirty phase, where she kind of did like that that wartime era kind of Candyman kind of weird doo-woppy kind of stuff. Once again, if this was redone with different music, it might actually not be a bad tune. Reflection. Was this the one that was in the Mulan movie? You know, to this day, I have never seen the original Mulan, and I've not watched the original Mulan with sound, and I have not watched the new remake, which I know they took the musical parts out of. Reflection, though, for some reason, I want to say is from Mulan, or it sounds like it should be from Mulan. I have no clue. It definitely has that Disney-esque reflective, oh, girl vibe. Um, I know that she did do some singing on Mulan. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that was the situation. Once again, I only ever watched Mulan with the sound off when I was in the home entertainment department at the evil corporation I once worked for. Love for All Seasons. Okay, so now at this point we're in the back half of the album, and Love for All Seasons, Somebody, meh. You Put Your Hands on Me. This one I actually didn't mind. Once again, music needs to be real music, not this synthesized generated stuff. I mean, there might be some real instrumentation actually in there. The drums on this whole entire album are all BS computer generated. I don't care what they say, or they were made to sound computer generated. Blessed. That one's not a bad song. I like the meaning kind of behind it a little bit. Love Will Find a Way, okay, blah. And Obvious, whatever. Obvious was a bad album closer. Really, this album was done as a front half, back half album. The front half is definitely where all the singles are. The back half is definitely where all the filler is. When people like to talk about the explosion of Napster and how the explosion of Napster came about because of record companies not, just filling albums with garbage, or record companies not releasing enough singles, stuff like that, there is a definite EP's worth of music on here. And that's all it should have been. Honestly, the first 6 songs, for sure. So Emotional and When You Put Your Hands on Me, either one of those I think could have been kind of switched out, one for the other. Outside of that, Love for All Seasons, Somebody, Blessed, Love Will Find a Way, and Obvious, they all could have just stayed, not recorded. They just don't do anything for this album. And this is why people used stuff like this as an argument for Napster, and why they all tried to justify going out and downloading the album as opposed to buying the album. And yes, this was definitely the opening days of Napster. Not even the opening days of Napster. Napster had been around for a little bit at this point, right? Or if not them, it was, what was it, LimeWire, I think was the other one, or something like that. Either way, the downloading. It was because of stuff like this. If this album had been released with just the 6 tracks for under $10 back in the day, done at, what was it? This probably, when it first came out, Canadian, probably came out $15.99 if I remember correctly, or somewhere close to that. It might have been as high as $17.99. So if they were only released the 6 tracks, released it at half the price, I think it would have moved just as many copies. It might have even moved more copies. But that's just not how they did it back in the day. Instead, they jammed it full of extra crap and thought that made it worth more money. I don't know. Either way, would I recommend this album? Well, I mean, compared to a lot of dribble that's coming out nowadays, it's not bad. I think Christina Aguilera has one of the most awesome voices, especially for the time period that she came out in. Out of all the vocalists that came out of that time period, late 90s there, early 2000s, Christina's got the best voice out of all of them. Out of all of them, Christina is the only one I would ever want to work with. I would love it if Christina came back out, redid all her music, and put it to actual real music, reworked it, reimagined it a little bit, did a whole brand new album, rock out the albums a little bit. Because there's a couple songs on here I really think, Genie in a Bottle, What a Girl Wants, and Come On Over. Those three particularly, if they were redone, rocked out a little bit, I think they could be killer ass tracks. You know, you mix it with some of her other songs that came later down the line and whatnot, get them all going. Get a really good rock album going, man. Put her and Hailstorm on tour together. I think it would be pretty cool. Anyways, folks, those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions. Those are my views. I'm gonna leave it there. Something positive. I've touched enough on the negative. Let me know what your thoughts and your views and your opinions are. That's what the comment section is for. Should I cover some more of this stuff? I'm telling you right now, there is more electronic stuff coming. I think the next 10 reviews are all going to be weird stuff out of my normal repertoire. Just because I think it would be fun to do. Anyways, let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. Leave me a comment. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell for notifications. Link below, it'll take you to Patreon. Peace, love, take care.